Negotiable Instruments Act 1881. It's a very old act, and the history of the present act is also very old and long. Actually, the act was originally drafted in 1966. There was a commission, Third India Law Commission. It drafted the act in 1866 and it was introduced in December 1867 in the council, and it was referred to a select committee. So after number of objections by the mercantile community, the bill had to be redrafted in 1877, and thereafter also, after a lapse of sufficient period for criticism by the local governments, the high courts and chambers of commerce, new law commission was formed in 1880, and on the recommendations of the new law committee, the bill was redrafted and again it was sent to a select committee which adopted most of the additions recommended by the new law commission. The draft, thus prepared for the fourth time, was introduced in the council and was passed into law in 1881, being the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881, and it was Act number 26 of 1881. So this act had to pass through various stages, and it was drafted for the fourth time when it was finally implemented, and it was called as Negotiable Instruments Act 1881. Now we will go by a little more history also. The more important class of credit instruments that evolved in India were termed hundi. Hundi was very popular. Their use was most widespread in the 12th century and has continued till today. Means hundi is prevailing even today also. In a sense, they represent the oldest surviving form of credit instrument, and these were used in trade and credit transactions. They were used as remittance instruments for the purpose of transfer of funds from one place to another. And in modern era, hundi served as traveler checks. The structure was like traveler checks, that in case you carry one hundi, you can encash that at some other place also. So it was used as remittance for the remittance or transfer of funds from one place to another. Now, in case we go by the simple meaning or definition, it says that Negotiable Instrument Act means a promissory note, bill of exchange or check, payable either to order or to the bearer. But Section 1 has one more thing also. It is also described that local extent, saving of usage relating to hundis, etc., also a part of negotiable instruments, and they are called negotiable instruments by usage, and the act extends to whole of India. Some of the acts do not extend to some of the states like J and K, but this act extends to whole of India. So this was a short history, because the first draft was in 1866, then reintroduced in 1867, it was redrafted in 1877, and the final fourth draft was in 1880, and finally it was implemented, became a law in 1881. But the other form of instrument, hundi, also continued side by side, and even today hundi is widespread and it is in usage in India also. And as per Section 1 of a Negotiable Instruments Act, a negotiable instrument means a promissory note, bill of exchange or a check, payable either to order or to the bearer. It also mentions the hundis also, and some other instruments like railway receipts, such instruments which are treated as negotiable instruments by usage only. But the main, these as per act, the promissory note, bill of exchange or a check, it is treated as a negotiable instrument. The act extends to whole of India, not means no part of India is exempted. And what are the main types of instruments? These are main type of negotiable instruments. These are inland instruments, foreign instruments, and bank draft. Inland instrument, it will be covered in next sections also, where it is drawn in India, payable to a person resident in India. So it is a inland instrument. Foreign instrument is, it is either drawn in outside India, or it is payable outside India, or it is payable to a person resident outside of India. This is a foreign instrument. And bank draft is a draft issued by a bank in favor of any person or company or anything. This is bank. This is also negotiable instrument. Now there are some of the acts are still prevailing, and some of the sections of the act are still prevailing as such, and some sections have taken a little different shape depending upon its usage also. And there are some amendments also in the act. There are some amendments also in the act, and some of the sections, they have some changes either by the amendment in the act or by usage. Now the very important definition is in section 4, that is promissory note. So as per section 4, a promissory note is an instrument in writing, but they have made it clear, not being a banknote or a currency note. So first quality is instrument in writing, containing an unconditional undertaking. Containing an unconditional undertaking. There is one undertaking, okay, who signed by the maker, and it is signed by the maker, means instrument in writing, there is an unconditional undertaking and it is signed by the maker. So undertaking automatically is from the maker. To pay a certain sum of money, only to, means again some consider sum of money is involved, to pay a certain of money, okay, only to or to the order of a certain person, means either directly to some person or to the order of certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. So this is promissory note. So in case we go by the features which have been covered in the section 4 and in the definition of promissory note, it's very, very clear what that it is an instrument in writing. Secondly, it is not a banknote or a currency note. Third one is it contains an unconditional undertaking. Fourth one is it is signed by the maker. Fifth one is the undertaking is about what? To pay a certain sum of money. Fifth one is to or to the order of certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. So all these features are there in the promissory note, and any paper which contains all these papers, it will be treated as promissory note. Then comes bill of exchange. It is covered under section 5. Section 5. Bill of exchange. A bill of exchange is an instrument in writing, again same thing, containing an unconditional order. Here a little change is there. In promissory note it was an undertaking, and in case of bill of exchange it is an order. So containing an unconditional order, signed by the maker, again maker signs it, directing a certain person, because it is an order must go to someone, some person. So directing a certain person, here the direction is to some other person. There was an undertaking by the maker. In case of promissory note, there is an undertaking by the maker and he undertakes to pay a certain sum of money. Here it is an unconditional order. So order is to some third person, signed by the maker, directing a certain person to pay a certain sum of money only to or to the order of a certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. So again it is an instrument in writing. Secondly, it is an unconditional order. Third is it is signed by the maker. Fourth is it is a direction to a certain person, okay, direction to the certain person. So third person is also involved. To pay a certain sum of money means certain sum of money is also there. To whom? To pay to the order to, or to the order of a certain person, or to the bearer of the instrument. So in promissory note there are two persons. Okay, two directly. Unconditional undertaking to pay a certain sum of money to whosoever will be the holder of the instrument. Here there are three people. Means one is the person who makes the instrument. Second one is the person who is directed to pay a certain sum of money. He is the other person. And third one is the person who has to receive the sum. Maybe two, or two is ordered to some other person or to the bearer of the instrument. So there are in promissory note there are two persons. Here in bill of exchange there are three persons. So friends, this is covered under section 4 and 5, and we will